Alright, has to be a quick video today, sorry about that, but I just saw this. Christiane Amanpour on CNN basically asking and suggesting that when people chant "lock her up" in reference to Hillary Clinton, she feels that this is hateful hate speech and it may incite violence. So she's prodding the question of whether this is something the FBI or those in charge of law and order should allow. Should they allow this type of speech, or should they shut it down? Now, first off, to even suggest this is frightening. I remember even 15 years ago with the Bush administration, it seemed to be the favorite hobby of typical liberal Democrats to make posters and placards stating the Republican Party is full of Nazis and making comparisons between Bush and Hitler. And like them or not, people like Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity even they never, to my knowledge, even remotely suggested that the speech of those liberals should be outlawed or shut down, or their right to express themselves should be silenced through the threat of force. They just criticized them and moved on. Yet we have CNN here having someone on who thinks that saying "lock her up" should be grounds for law enforcement to get involved. It should also be pointed out that if it had been people chanting "lock him up" in reference to Trump, we all know she would not be saying this. She wouldn't care. This is purely motivated by politics, and she's using the hate speech hysteria to do it. And this is the scary road we're going down, where you can just label something as hateful and suggest that it should not be allowed to be said. And is saying "lock her up" hateful anyway? That's not hateful, that's just a chant to express disapproval of a politician. Disapproval, by the way, that is not unfounded. And it's odd to me that a journalist would be saying this. Journalists make a living off of saying things that might be considered out of the ordinary, so it's all very strange. And here's another thing. All day we hear from people who think like Christiane here about how Trump is authoritarian and fascistic. Okay, if that's true, and maybe they're right, let's assume they're right, that Trump is authoritarian. Then the last thing you would want to do would be to grant law enforcement the ability to shut people down with the forceful arm of the government for saying things you don't like, because once that is granted, you had better prepare yourself for that type of tyranny to be pointed directly back at you. Does Christiane really want to live in a world where she has to tiptoe around how she expresses herself for fear of being thrown into prison? Because some unhinged person somewhere thought that what she said was hateful and could potentially, maybe, possibly cause some violence somewhere. Does she want all the people on CNN over the past 2 years that suggested Trump belongs in jail for the Russian collusion hysteria? Does she think that they belong in jail? They didn't chant it in unison with other people, but they clearly said it, so what's the difference? And here's another odd thing. She's basically saying that she thinks people who say "lock her up" may be inciting violence. But she's referencing the Trump campaign from 2 years ago. And what violence has occurred since then from people saying "lock her up"? None. So it's kind of funny in a sense, because she's proving herself wrong here from one sentence to the next. On one hand, saying "lock her up" might cause violence, but on the other hand, people have been saying it for years and no violence stemmed directly from it. This whole thing is just baffling. It's no wonder CNN is tanking. People like Christiane Amanpour are about as authoritarian as it gets in the US. Maybe Antifa edges her out a little bit, but she's up there. But anyway, that has to be it for now. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It is extremely appreciated, and I'll see you all later.